So now you know who we are. We are the new Chinese people taking down the Chinese Communist Party. Does that surprise you?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit actually. I know there are must be a lot of people that want to take down the current Chinese government, but we don't hear about them that much because all news about that is suppressed. And many resistance people in Hong Kong and China also repressed, imprisoned. Take have a look at people with in northwest China, Uyghurs. They're massively incarcerated, and it's like suppressed. And sometimes it has to explode in China.
Wow. So you mentioned that you seldom heard about the oppression of the Chinese Communist Party, and also almost never heard about Chinese people taking down the Chinese Communist Party from the mainstream media. Do you know why the mainstream media in the West doesn't cover such kind of story?
I don't know for a fact, but what I know is that the Chinese government is very good in suppressing all kinds of news. They do that with the internet in China, with everything, every bit of news they censorship. And on the second thing, China is investing a lot of money in the West. And that's very important, because when the money comes in, everybody shuts the fuck up. Yeah.
You're damn right. You're damn right about that.
Yeah, well, it's a problem. And it's a problem of the capitalist West. Yeah, well, they're capitalists, and there are groups of people and companies in the West that are so powerful, they suppress a lot of things. We even had chief editors of Dutch newspapers during the Corona period that says we only want to talk about the government narrative. It's ridiculous. They should criticize them, they should control them, they should tell the real story, and they don't.
Absolutely, you just nailed it. The reason you haven't heard truth from the mainstream media is because the Chinese Communist Party has used the money to influence and to censor them. And so these mainstream Western media have been bowing down to the Chinese Communist Party. You know the word kowtow means this, like kowtow means that they gave up their principle, they gave up their moral values for money. And so there's nothing wrong with the capitalism, but when capitalism is not with the faith or moral value, that's a disaster for the Western society, because that means that Chinese Communist Party can also control your freedom of speech, your freedom of press, and eventually you will be living just like the slaves under the Communist Party.
Yeah, we are. I mean, it's the big government, the big companies that control the narrative, and it's not different in the capitalist West than in communist China. Communist China is more severe, but it's the same principle.
Absolutely, like the lockdown, the government mandate on vaccine, and controlling of the mainstream media, controlling of the narrative. I mean, what we see in the Western society is the exact manifestation of what Mr. Mao Guo, the founder and leader of the Chinese whistleblower movement, warned 5 years ago on April 19th when he was giving an interview to the Voice of America, a U.S. government-owned international broadcaster. He warned the international community about the evil nature of the Chinese Communist Party. And guess what? His live interview was abruptly suspended.
Wow.
Yes, and also his interview with the BBC has also been censored, and BBC refused to broadcast the live interview with Mr. Mao Guo. And also, if you Google Mr. Mao Guo on Google, and you will find many fabricated story, propaganda produced by the Chinese Communist Party in New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, Mother Jones. I mean, continuously. So this is how the mainstream Western media has become a tool of the Chinese Communist Party's propaganda.
Wow. It's ridiculous. It should be known. You should have your own media channels underground to communicate these interviews and this news. You should have. And you can. I believe so.
Yeah. So this is the reason why we, the new Chinese people from the new federal state of China, this is what we say. We say the Chinese Communist Party is the root cause of all the global disasters. And taking down the Chinese Communist Party is the only way to save humanity, because we're also saving your liberty, your freedom in the West.
Yeah, but it's not only the case with Chinese Communist Party. It's also the case, is the actually reason we are here now in Medica is Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Am I right or not?
Yes, Putin and the Chinese Communist Party, the party of Davos, the establishment media, they have becoming the opposition to the people, we the people.
Yeah, of course. Do you guys have your own media channels?
Yes, we have Getter, which is a fastest growing social media platform that provides a true freedom without censorship, because Twitter...
I'm not talking about social media. I'm talking about your own website with news, newspapers, videos, blogs, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah.
Something you control.
Okay, so to counter the mainstream media and the Chinese Communist Party's propaganda, we have G News, and it's gnews.org. And we also have Getter to democratize the social media platform for everyone, because Twitter and Facebook and other social media platforms are censoring people's voice that they don't like because they want to control the narratives.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
the G News and Getter are free platform that promotes the freedom of speech, and it's all funded by the Chinese whistleblowers, by the people from the new federal state of China.
You still have people in China that can narrate the real stories about what happens there?
So many Chinese people are using the VPN, the virtual private network, to circumvent the internet the internet censorship, to access free information. But unfortunately, once they overcome the internet firewall, they come to the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Mother Jones, the so-called Western media. They see again the propaganda produced by Beijing, by the Chinese Communist Party. Yeah. So there's no true freedom of press in the world unless we take down the Chinese Communist Party.
And for that you need your own media channels that you control. Like your own newspaper, your own television, radio station, your own internet sites. You need to set up and control that. That's the only way to counterbalance all the mainstream media that doesn't communicate about it, the Chinese repression of the press, etc., etc. You need to be in control yourself, fully.
Yes.
That's my message. That's my message.
Thank you so much. And so we want to provide a true free platform for everyone. We don't want to control everybody. We want everybody to have their voice to be heard. So we're totally against the censorship, and very soon you will see the most powerful newspaper, television, and social media are created by the freedom-loving Chinese people, and because we are the ones who truly stand up to the dictatorship, and we take great risk upon ourselves to stand up for freedom, like the leader and founder of the Chinese whistleblower movement, Mr. Mao Zedong. He has been fighting against the nation-state cyber attack and propaganda and a very malicious attack on his reputation, on his financial health, and on his family and friends for over 5 years. I mean, that's the cost. Some people have to pay such a dear price, but we hope that the people from the West can hear the story, so you know that you can. There's a powerful Chinese whistleblower movement helping you to become free from the influence and dictatorship of the Chinese Communist Party.
I hope so. I'm so very much looking forward to hearing more of it.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you.